My name is Julia Reed, and I am 35 years old. On the morning my sister opened a bakery with my name above the door, she handed me a white apron and told me to stay in the kitchen. The sign outside said Julia Reed Bakehouse in letters tall enough to see from the next block. My lemon cake filled the front window, and my face was printed on the menus. And on the wall behind the register, someone had painted a sentence I had never said. 2 sisters, 1 family dream. I hadn't agreed to any of it. Brooke leaned close while guests gathered for the ribbon cutting. "Just help today," she whispered. "Smile for the investors, sign the founder paper, and we can sort out the details later." Then a woman I had never met walked over with a folder, believing I was Brooke's business partner and that my recipes belonged to the bakery. She had invested $180,000 because Brooke promised that I was the talent behind the name. Brooke thought I would protect her from the truth because we were sisters. She was wrong. In the pocket of that white apron, I had the flour-stained recipe card that started my business, and I also had the email where I had told Brooke no. Before the ribbon was cut, everyone in that room was going to learn the difference between sharing a family recipe and stealing a person's life. Before I tell you how that morning ended, tell me this. If your own sister built a business around your name without permission, would you help her save face, or would you make her tell the truth? To understand why Brooke believed I would fold, you need to understand our family. She was 3 years older, bright, funny, and able to enter any room as if it had been waiting. I was the sister who noticed the empty coffee pot and made another. Mom called us complimentary. What she meant was that Brooke got to want things, while I got praised for making them possible. Dad left when I was 12, and Mom carried the fear of unpaid bills for years. Brooke learned that confidence could cover a missing plan. I learned that being useful kept the peace. Grandma June never confused usefulness with love. She lived 10 minutes away, and every Saturday her kitchen smelled like lemon peel, warm butter, and coffee reheated too many times. She tied an old apron around my waist and let me measure flour into a yellow bowl. Her lemon cake recipe fit on one index card in faded blue ink. The only notes were room temperature, do not rush, and listen to the batter. When I asked how anyone could listen to batter, Grandma tapped the spoon against the bowl. You listen to what changes. Most people only notice after something breaks. Brooke baked with us twice. She left early the first time, then decorated one cake the second time and accepted every compliment at dinner. Later, Grandma handed me the recipe card. "This stays with the person who does the work," she said. I kept it in a clear sleeve inside my first cookbook. I studied food science at community college and found steady work checking quality for a regional grocery company. I inspected production logs and made sure labels matched ingredients. I liked work with a clear standard. Brooke left college and became an event coordinator. She was gifted at turning plain rooms into celebrations, but she hated the quiet middle where the same task had to be done again. At family gatherings, Mom called Brooke creative and me dependable. It took years to see that creative people were allowed to make messes, while dependable people were expected to clean them. I started selling cakes when I was 27. It happened by accident. A coworker asked me to make Grandma June's lemon cake for her mother's retirement dinner. Another coworker wanted one for a baby shower, then a neighbor asked for a birthday cake, and her sister asked for cupcakes. I rented hours in a shared commercial kitchen on weekends. I made a simple page online called Julia Reed Bakes. The name wasn't clever, but it was mine. I posted clean photographs in natural light, listed 3 flavors, and accepted only as many orders as I could finish well. The lemon cake became the one people remembered. It had a soft crumb, a sharp lemon glaze, and a thin layer of cream between the rounds. I changed Grandma's method over time, but I kept her notes on the card. Room temperature. Do not rush. Listen to the batter. For 7 years, I worked my regular job Monday through Friday and baked on weekends. I never became famous. I didn't want to. My customers were teachers, nurses, young couples, and families who came back every year. They trusted that the cake in the box would look like the cake in the picture. That trust was the business. Brooke treated it like a sweet hobby. She asked for discounts for her clients, then she asked for free samples because exposure was good for me. I usually said yes. A tray of small cakes led to paid orders, and I liked seeing my work at beautiful events. The problem was that Brooke began introducing me as her baker. Not my sister, Julia, who owns her own business, her baker. The first time I corrected her with a laugh, the second time I pulled her aside. The third time she rolled her eyes and said I was getting hung up on wording. "You bake," she said. "I bring you customers. It's a partnership in spirit." "No," I told her. "It's a referral." She smiled as if I had made a joke. Grandma June died when I was 31 after a late winter stroke. She never came home from the hospital, and Brooke organized the flowers and made a beautiful photo display. I baked the lemon cake for the reception because I couldn't think of anything else to do with my hands. At the church hall, Mom told everyone Brooke had planned the entire service. That was true. Then she told them Brooke had made sure Grandma's recipes would stay in the family. That part wasn't true. I looked across the room. Brooke was standing beside the dessert table, accepting a compliment about the cake. I could have corrected Mom. I almost did. Then I saw how tired she looked, and I let the moment pass. That was my mistake, though I didn't understand it yet. Silence can look like permission to someone who benefits from it. After the funeral, Mom asked me to make copies of Grandma's recipe card for the family, and I scanned it and sent everyone a clean image. The original stayed with me. Brooke called that night. "You should do more with this," she said. "The story sells itself." 3 generations of women, Southern family recipe, handmade nostalgia. It's Cake Brooke. It's a brand. I told her I was happy with my weekend orders. She made a soft, impatient sound. "You always stop right before something gets big." I knew she meant it as criticism. Part of me heard it as concern. That was the opening she used later. 3 years after Grandma died, Brooke lost her largest event account and nearly half her annual work. She hid it for months, then asked me to cover 1 car payment and part of her rent. I helped before I understood how bad things were. She insisted she had a plan. "People spend on experiences. I need something I control." I reminded her that control came with rent, payroll, and supplies. "That is why I need you," she said. "You understand the boring part." I should have heard the warning. A few weeks later, Brooke asked me to provide desserts at cost for a downtown fundraiser. I brought 2 lemon cakes, several pastry trays, and the small Julia Reed Bakes cards I used for every order. When I returned from changing clothes, my cards were gone. 1 large sign had replaced them, "Desserts by the Reed Sisters." "The small cards looked cluttered," Brooke said. "These are my orders and my business." And I produced the event. "Nobody is taking anything from you." That night, 3 guests asked when we were opening a bakery. I corrected them, then found Brooke counting donations after the room emptied. "Did you pitch a bakery using my name?" I said we had ideas. "We do not." "I have ideas, you have recipes." I told her not to use my name in a business pitch. For once, her charm disappeared. "You are sitting on something people would pay for." Do you know how frustrating that is to watch? It belongs to me. I am trying to help you. Then ask what I want. She asked, and I gave the wrong answer. I said I might consider a small pop-up, nothing permanent. Brooke hugged me before I finished the sentence. I wanted my work to stay mine. I wanted her to respect a simple no. I also wanted my sister to stop looking at me as if caution were a character flaw. So I gave her the wrong answer. I might consider a small pop-up, I said. Nothing permanent. Brooke stood and hugged me before I finished the sentence. Within a week, Brooke had a name, a logo, and a list of storefronts. June and Honey sounded warm and expensive, and the small lemon branch under the words looked beautiful. We agreed to a 3-week pop-up inside a coffee shop. I would provide 4 items, Brooke would handle promotion and customers, and we would split the profit after expenses. My email called it a trial and nothing more. The pop-up sold out twice. Brooke remembered every customer, and I saw the version of us I had always wanted. She brought people in, while I gave them a reason to return. But she also promised custom orders without asking me, offered delivery I couldn't manage, and announced breakfast pastries I had no equipment to make. Each promise was small, but together they showed me the future. On the final night, Brooke raised a glass. "This proves we can work." "It proves a short pop-up can work," I said. I liked the attention more than I admitted. I also knew I didn't trust her with the limits of my work. A week later, Brooke sent me a spreadsheet. She wanted a permanent bakery with 40 seats, a private event room, and a production kitchen large enough for wedding orders. The total budget was $180,000. I stared at the number. "Where is that coming from?" I asked when she called. "An investor." "Who?" "A woman named Naomi Ward. She owns 2 restaurants and is looking for a neighborhood bakery concept." "What did you tell her?" "The truth, that we tested the market and customers loved us." "Did you tell her I agreed to a permanent bakery?" A pause. "I told her we were discussing structure. That is not the same thing. Julia, this is the chance." "It may be your chance, I have not said it is mine." Brooke's voice sharpened. "You can't keep acting like wanting more is a moral failure." "I don't think that." "You do. You hide behind safety, then judge everyone who takes a risk." That landed because there was truth inside it. My fear wasn't imaginary. When Dad left, Mom spent years moving bills from one stack to another. I remembered the power being shut off for a weekend. I remembered Brooke distracting me with a flashlight game while Mom cried in the laundry room. Steady work had made my adult life feel safe. A bakery lease sounded like a door that could lock behind me. Brooke knew that, and she also knew I hated being called afraid. I agreed to one meeting with Naomi. We met at a quiet restaurant on a Monday morning. Naomi was in her early 50s, direct without being cold, and she asked practical questions about production capacity, customer demand, and why our pop-up had worked. I answered honestly. I said the menu was intentionally small. I said my recipes required time. I said growth couldn't come at the cost of consistency. Naomi nodded. That is the first sensible thing I have heard in 3 bakery pitches. Brooke smiled as if the compliment belonged to both of us. Then Naomi asked what role I wanted. I have not decided whether I want one, I said. The silence at the table lasted half a second too long. Brooke jumped in. Julia means she is deciding how quickly to leave her day job. No, I said. I mean I have not agreed to open a permanent business. Naomi looked from me to Brooke. That should be settled before we discuss money. It will be, Brooke said. I corrected her again. It might be. On the drive home, Brooke called me unprofessional. You embarrassed me. I answered her question. You made us look divided. We are divided. She hung up. Mom called 10 minutes later. I knew Brooke had reached her first because Mom began with, Your sister is trying to build something for both of you. I pulled into a grocery store parking lot and turned off the engine. She told an investor I was joining a business I have not agreed to join. She is optimistic. She is using my name. It is her name too. That sentence stayed with me. Reed was our shared last name. June was our shared grandmother. But Julia Reed Bakes wasn't a family heirloom. It was 7 years of my weekends, my customer messages, my photographs, my refunds, my mistakes, and my work. I tried to explain that. Mom sighed. Brooke is good at seeing the bigger picture. You have always needed time to catch up. There it was, the family pattern in one sentence. Brooke moved first. I was expected to arrive later and make it legitimate. I told Mom I wasn't joining the bakery. Then I called Brooke and said the same thing. She went quiet. Are you sure? Yes. Even if Naomi invests? Yes. Even if I offer you half, you can't offer me half of a business that does not exist yet. I can build it. Then build your business. Do not build it around me. Brooke said she understood. For almost 2 months, I believed her. During those 2 months, my life settled back into its old shape. I worked weekdays, baked on Friday nights, and filled orders on Saturday mornings. I stopped checking the empty storefront listings Brooke had sent. She stopped mentioning Naomi. Then customers began congratulating me. The first message came from a woman named Erin who had ordered birthday cakes from me for 4 years. I can't wait for the new shop, she wrote. Will you still take custom orders? I assumed she had confused me with someone else. I replied that I wasn't opening a shop. She sent back a screenshot. It was an announcement from a new social media account called Julia Reed Bakehouse. The profile picture was my lemon cake. The caption said, "After years of private orders and sold-out pop-ups, Julia Reed is finally coming downtown." Founded by sisters Brooke and Julia Reed, our bakery will bring Grandma June's recipes to a permanent home this fall. My hands went cold. The photograph was one I had taken in my own kitchen, and I recognized the chip on the cake stand and the shadow from my back window. Brooke had cropped out my old logo, but the image was mine. I opened the account. There were 12 posts. My chocolate cake, my orange rolls, my hands dusting a counter with flour. A picture of Grandma June standing beside me when I was 19. Under it, Brooke had written, "This is where our family dream began." The account had almost 4,000 followers. I called Brooke. She didn't answer. I called again. Then I called Mom. "Have you seen the bakery page?" Mom hesitated. "It looks beautiful." "You knew." I knew Brooke was moving forward. "With my name?" She said you would come around once you saw it was real. I stood in the shared kitchen while a mixer ran behind me. Other bakers moved around the room, carrying trays and checking ovens. I felt exposed, even though nobody knew what was happening. "Mom," I said no. "You say no when you are scared." That does not turn it into yes. She has signed a lease, Julia. The words hit harder than the page. "What lease?" "The old pharmacy building on Morgan Street. It has those big windows you liked." I had liked them when Brooke showed me the listing months earlier. I had said the room had good light. That observation had become part of her evidence that I wanted the place. I drove there after work. The old pharmacy was covered in brown paper, and through a gap I could see new tile, a long counter, and pendant lights wrapped in plastic. A temporary sign in the window said Julia Reed Bakehouse, opening soon, my full name. Not June and Honey, not Reed sisters. Mine. Brooke's car was parked in the alley. I knocked until she opened the side door. She wore jeans, work boots, and a dust mask around her neck. For one strange second, pride rose in me. The space was beautiful. She had taken a forgotten building and made it feel warm. Then I saw a framed enlargement of Grandma's recipe card leaning against the wall. "You can't use that," I said. Brooke closed the door behind me. "Hello to you too. Take my name off the sign. We are still testing names. It is on the window. That is temporary. It is online. We needed something for the launch. You told people I founded this." "You did. The pop-up proved the concept." "A 3-week pop-up did not give you my identity." She folded her arms. "Nobody stole your identity. You used my name, my pictures, and my work after I said no. You said you did not want the risk. I took the risk." "Then use your name." Her face flushed. "My name does not have 7 years of customers attached to it." The honesty of that answer stopped me. Brooke looked away first. She explained that Naomi had not signed the final investment papers yet. The lease was in an operating company Brooke had formed. Renovation had been paid from a mix of Naomi's preliminary funds, Brooke's savings, and a loan from Mom. Naomi believed I was still involved. "How?" I asked. "I told her you were finishing your notice at work." "You lied. I gave you time. You gave yourself my answer." Brooke paced to the unfinished counter. "You do not understand how close this is," she said. "The contractors are paid. The equipment arrives next week. We have applicants. We have press interest." If you walk in now, everything works. And if I do, she turned to me, you are not cruel enough to let all of this fail. That was the first time I saw the whole plan. Brooke had not forgotten my no, she had built past it. She believed money spent, walls painted, and people hired would become pressure I couldn't resist. She had turned her risk into my obligation. I told her to remove my name and every photograph I had taken. I told her she couldn't use my recipes. Brooke laughed once, but there was no humor in it. You sent the family recipes to everyone. I sent a copy of Grandma's card to the family. You do not own the recipes I developed for my business. Lemon cake is not a secret invention. No, but my business is not yours. She stepped closer. What do you actually want, Julia? Credit? Money? A title? Name it. I want you to stop. You can't stop a real business because your feelings are hurt. I looked around the room. The shelves, the tile, the new ovens, it was a real business in every physical sense. That was what made the lie feel so dangerous. I am giving you 1 week, I said. Remove my name and my pictures. Tell Naomi I am not involved. Brooke's mouth tightened. Or what? I didn't have an answer. She saw that. I left through the side door with the sound of her contractor drilling into the wall behind me. The next morning, I wrote everything down in an email. I kept it short. I hadn't agreed to be a founder, employee, consultant, or recipe provider. Brooke did not have permission to use my full name, my photographs, my customer list, or my business materials. I asked her to correct the public announcement and confirm the change within a week. I copied Mom because I wanted one witness inside the family. Brooke replied in less than an hour. This is an emotional reaction, she wrote. Let us talk after you calm down. Mom replied only to me, please do not threaten your sister in writing. I read both messages at my desk during lunch. For years, written words had been the safest part of my life. Labels, batch logs, ingredient lists, customer orders. A sentence meant what it said. In my family, a clear sentence became aggression the moment it limited Brooke. I didn't answer. Instead, I reported the copied photographs to the social media platform. They were images I had taken, and I still had the original files. Within several days, 4 posts disappeared. Brooke called me at work. Did you report the page? Yes. Do you have any idea how that makes us look? There is no us. You are sabotaging your own opening. It is not my opening. She lowered her voice. Naomi watches that page. Then tell her the truth. You think investors care about family tension? They care about confidence. They should care that the person in the name is not involved. Brooke hung up again. That evening, the missing posts were replaced with new graphics. The cake photographs were gone, but my name remained. The caption read, "Family stories are never simple. Our doors are still opening." Hundreds of people left supportive comments because they thought Brooke was overcoming some private obstacle. I was the obstacle, though she didn't name me. Mom shared the post. I called her. Why would you share that? Because Brooke needs support. What do you think I need? You need perspective. I sat at my kitchen table with Grandma's recipe card beside my phone. Would you let someone open a dental office using your name and credentials? That is different. Why? Because that could hurt patients. This can hurt my customers. People think I am responsible for food I have never seen. Mom was quiet. I thought I had reached her. Then she said, "You are making a comparison that is much too dramatic." I ended the call before I said something I couldn't take back. The bakery page announced a grand opening 6 weeks away. 6 weeks. That became the deadline hanging over everything. I could keep arguing with Brooke, or I could protect my name before the doors opened. For the first time, I stopped asking whether Brooke understood me. I started asking what I could prove. I saved the original image files. I downloaded customer messages showing years of orders under Julia Reed Bakes. I found the email where I had limited our work to the 3-week pop-up. I saved my later message saying I wouldn't join a permanent bakery. I didn't create a dramatic binder. I made one digital folder and backed it up in 2 places. Then I changed the home page of my own website. A notice at the top said, "Julia Reed Bakes is not connected to any planned storefront. I am not a founder or employee of Julia Reed Bakehouse." I hated posting it. It felt like hanging family laundry above my order form. But within an hour, 3 customers thanked me for clarifying. One had already bought a gift card from Brooke's page because she thought I would be making the cakes. That was no longer family tension. Someone had spent money based on a false belief. I refunded her from my own account, then stopped myself. The gift card wasn't my responsibility. I wrote to Brooke and told her to handle it. She replied that all gift cards would be honored after opening. "You are missing the point," I wrote. She sent back, "No, you are." The following Sunday, Mom invited us both to lunch. I almost refused. Then I decided a face-to-face conversation might reach the part of Brooke that emails couldn't. Mom made chicken casserole and set the table with Grandma June's old plates. Brooke arrived late carrying a bakery sample box tied with yellow string. Inside were 4 slices of lemon cake. I recognized the shape, the glaze, and the thin cream layer. It was an imitation of mine. Brooke watched me taste it. The crumb was dry. The lemon flavor came from extract instead of fresh peel. It wasn't terrible. It was simply not the cake customers associated with my name. "We hired a recipe developer," she said. "Then put your name on it." Mom put down her fork. "Can we please speak without attacking each other?" Brooke opened a folder. She had prepared an agreement. The first page called me founding culinary advisor. I would allow the bakery to use my name, biography, photographs, and existing recipes. In return, I would receive 4% of future profits after the business became profitable. There was no salary, no ownership, no control over quality. The agreement lasted indefinitely. I read it twice. You want everything now and maybe 4% later. It is a starting point. You told Naomi I was a co-founder. This title is cleaner. Cleaner for whom? Brooke leaned forward. You do not want to work full-time. Fine. I found a way to include you without asking you to quit. I don't want to be included. Mom touched my wrist. Your sister has already put so much into this. I pulled my hand back. That was her choice. She did it because she believes in you. No, she did it because strangers trust me. Brooke's chair scraped against the floor. You have a few hundred customers and a social media page, she said. Stop talking like I stole a national brand. Then why do you need my name? She had no answer that sounded good, so she changed the subject. She said the bakery would create jobs. She said Mom had invested money she couldn't afford to lose. She said contractors had families. She said Naomi expected growth. Every consequence belonged to someone else until Brooke needed it to belong to me. I slid the agreement back across the table. No, Mom's eyes filled. Julia, please. I will not sign this. Brooke pushed the folder toward me again. Think about what happens if you refuse. I have thought about it. No, you have thought about your pride. I stood. Brooke's voice followed me toward the kitchen. Grandma would be ashamed that you are hoarding what she gave us. I stopped beside the counter. The recipe card wasn't with me. It was safe at home. But I could see every faded word. Grandma gave you the recipe too, I said. She gave me the work. Then I left. That lunch changed the conflict. Until then, Brooke had pretended I was confused, frightened, or emotional. At Mom's table, she finally said what she believed. Because the recipe began in our family, she believed my years of work had become family property. Because she was willing to take the risk, she believed she could decide how that property was used. My no wasn't an answer to her. It was a delay she intended to outlast. 3 days after that lunch, Naomi Ward emailed me. Her subject line said, "Founder documents before opening." I almost deleted it because I assumed Brooke had copied her into another sales message. Then I saw the attachment. It was a short form asking me to confirm that the bakery had permission to use my name, my photographs, and the recipes listed in its launch menu. It also stated that I would serve as co-founder and head baker for at least the first year. I read the page slowly. Brooke had not merely implied that I might help, she had built my participation into the investment. Naomi's message was polite. She said Brooke had told her I preferred to sign in person because family documents felt awkward over email. Naomi would be at the grand opening and could bring the original. I stared at the screen until my lunch break ended. My first instinct was to call Brooke. The old instinct. Give her one more private chance. Keep the problem inside the family. Instead, I replied to Naomi. I said there had been a serious misunderstanding. I hadn't agreed to any of the statements in the document. I hadn't authorized the bakery to use my name, photographs, recipes, or biography. I asked for a copy of any material that described my role. Naomi called within 20 minutes. Her voice was controlled, but the control had edges. Are you telling me you are not opening this bakery with your sister? That is exactly what I am telling you. She said you attended the concept meeting. I attended one meeting. I said at that meeting that I hadn't decided whether I wanted a role. She said you completed a successful market test. We did a 3-week pop-up under different terms. I later declined a permanent business. Naomi was silent. Then she asked, did you approve the use of Julia Reed Bakehouse? No. Did you approve the founder biography? I have never seen it. Another silence. Naomi said she would send me the investment deck. I opened it while we were still on the phone. The first page showed my lemon cake and the words, "A trusted local baker finally comes home." The second page had a photograph of Brooke and me at the fundraiser. We were standing behind the dessert table. Brooke had cropped the sign, so only the words Reed Sisters remained. My biography said I had spent nearly a decade building a devoted customer base and was now ready to scale. Brooke's biography called her the growth strategist behind the brand. The final page listed our roles. Julia Reed, co-founder and executive pastry chef. Brooke Reed, co-founder and chief executive. I felt something in me become very still. Naomi asked if I had ever received the deck. No. Did your sister have access to these photographs? Some were public. One came from the fundraiser she produced. What about the menu? I looked at it. 6 items were mine. 2 were from the pop-up. 4 were recipes I sold through my own business and had never given Brooke. She knows the names, I said. She does not have my full methods. Could another baker reproduce them? Not the way customers expect. Naomi exhaled. She didn't apologize for believing Brooke. She didn't become my rescuer. She simply said the remaining investment wouldn't be released until the ownership and permissions were clear. That was enough. I thanked her for contacting me. Before we hung up, she said, "Your sister told me you were shy about business. She didn't tell me you had said no." That sentence hurt in a new way. Brooke had not portrayed me as a partner with concerns. She had portrayed me as a talented woman who needed her bolder sister to speak for her. It was the family story, packaged for investors. Naomi asked whether she could share my email with her accountant and the landlord. I said yes, as long as she included the entire message. Then I called Brooke. She answered on the first ring. "What did you say to Naomi?" "The truth. You had no right to go around me. She emailed me a document with my name on it. You could have called." "I have called. I have emailed. I have said no in your store, in my kitchen, and at Mom's table. You just froze the investment. I didn't make you lie to her." Brooke's breathing grew louder. "You think this makes you powerful? No, it makes me accurate. The opening is in less than a month." "Then change the name. You know we can't reprint everything that fast." "You had 6 weeks after I told you." Her voice broke on the next words, and for a moment she sounded like my sister instead of my opponent. "I will lose everything." I leaned against the wall beside my desk. "What exactly did you expect me to lose?" She didn't answer. She ended the call. That evening, Mom came to my apartment without warning. She carried the sample agreement in her purse. I didn't invite her in. We stood in the hallway while my neighbor's television played through the wall. Brooke says the investor may pull out, Mom said. Brooke lied to the investor. She got ahead of herself. She put my name in a contract. She believed you would join once you saw the opportunity. That belief does not give her consent. Mom looked older than she had at lunch. Her mouth trembled. I put $30,000 into that place. I hadn't known the amount. The fear on her face was real. She had spent years terrified of debt, and now she had risked her savings on Brooke's certainty. I wanted to comfort her. That was the cruelest part of family patterns. The person pressuring you can still be genuinely afraid. Did Brooke show you the agreement before you gave her money? I asked. She showed me projections. Did she tell you I hadn't signed? Mom looked down. That was my answer. Why would you invest if you knew? Because I thought you wouldn't let us fail. Us. Brooke had borrowed Mom's fear and turned it into another weight for me to carry. I spoke carefully. I am sorry you may lose money. I didn't ask you to invest. I didn't promise to protect it. She is your sister, and I am your daughter. Mom closed her eyes. For one hopeful second, I thought she understood. Then she said, "You have always been the one I could count on." The sentence was meant as love. It landed like a bill. I can't keep being dependable if dependable means everyone else gets to choose for me. Mom opened her purse and held out the agreement. Take one night, sign it tomorrow, you can negotiate later. I didn't touch it. No, her face hardened. You are punishing Brooke because she had the courage to do what you couldn't. No, I am refusing to lend my name to what she did. She made your little cake page into a real company. There are insults that arrive dressed as encouragement. That was one. I stepped back and put my hand on the door. My business was real before she found a storefront. Mom left the papers on the hallway floor. I picked them up after she reached the stairs, not because I planned to sign, but because my name was printed on every page. The next morning, I called the shared kitchen and reduced my orders for the next 2 weeks. I was distracted, and distracted bakers make mistakes, so I took a personal day from work. I spent it doing the thing I had avoided for years. I treated my own business as something worth protecting. I moved the original recipe photographs into organized folders. I updated my customer terms. I added my name to the images on my website. I wrote a plain statement describing what was mine and what had belonged to the limited pop-up. Then, I made an appointment with a small business attorney named Dana Cole. Dana did not promise a dramatic courtroom victory. She said names, photographs, and recipes raised different questions, and not every part would be protected in the same way. But the false claim that I had agreed to be a founder was simple. Do not argue every family memory, she told me. Correct the business fact. She helped me write a formal notice. It said I wasn't associated with Julia Reed Bakehouse. It demanded that Brooke stop using my full name, my photographs, and any statement suggesting my participation. It also required written confirmation before the opening. The notice gave Brooke 10 days. Dana sent it by email and tracked mail. Brooke received it the next afternoon. She posted a picture of the storefront at sunset with the caption, "Some people fear the light they were born to share." I almost laughed. Then I read the comments calling her brave. I wanted to answer everyone. I wanted to upload the investment deck and expose her. Dana advised me to keep my public statement factual and brief, so I did. I posted, I am not a founder, employee, advisor, or recipe provider for the business using my name on Morgan Street. Please direct all questions, orders, and gift cards to that business. No accusations, no family history, just the fact. The post was shared more than anything I had ever published. Some people asked what had happened. Others assumed it was a publicity stunt. A local food reporter emailed both of us. Brooke called after midnight. Take it down. No, you are destroying the launch. I am correcting a false statement. You are making me look like a thief. I didn't choose the facts. I used public pictures. You used them to sell a role I never accepted. We are family. People share things, people ask, she was quiet. Then she said the sentence that ended any hope that this had been a misunderstanding. I only needed you attached until the bakery had its own reputation. I sat up in bed. What? Once we opened, customers would come for the place. Your name was a bridge. A bridge. 7 years of work. Grandma's card, my customers, my face. A bridge Brooke intended to cross and leave behind. You should not have said that, I told her. Why? Because it is honest? Because now I know there is nothing to fix between your plan and mine. She tried to pull the words back. She said I was twisting them. She said she meant we both needed the launch. But I had listened to what changed. The next day, I wrote down her exact sentence and the time of the call. It wasn't a recording. It wasn't evidence for court. It was evidence for me. I no longer needed Brooke to admit she had hurt me. I needed to stop giving her opportunities to keep doing it. With 2 weeks left before the grand opening, the bakery's sign still carried my name. The formal notice deadline passed. Brooke did not confirm anything. Instead, she sent me an invitation. The front showed a watercolor lemon branch. Inside, it read, "Please join Brooke and Julia Reed for the grand opening of Julia Reed Bakehouse." A handwritten note at the bottom said, "Wear black pants, I have an apron for you." I stared at that note for a long time. Brooke had received the notice. Naomi had frozen the remaining investment. Customers had seen my statement. Still, my sister expected me to arrive in work clothes and save the day. Mom called 5 minutes later. "Please go," she said. "Did Brooke ask you to call? She is overwhelmed. She invited me as free help. She wants you beside her. She wants me in the kitchen. What does it matter where you stand for one morning?" It mattered because that was the whole story. Brooke at the ribbon, me behind the door, her vision in front, my labor hidden where she could use it. I told Mom I would attend. She exhaled in relief. "But I am not working," I said, "and I am not signing anything. She just needs the opening to go well. I heard you." I didn't promise what she wanted. I called Naomi and asked whether she would be there. "Yes," she said. "Brooke told me the family issue had been resolved." "It has not." I assumed as much. Naomi explained that she planned to bring the founder confirmation one last time. If I signed, the investment could proceed. If I didn't, she would require the bakery to stop presenting me as part of the business before she considered any revised deal. "Why consider anything after this?" I asked. "Because bad judgment and a bad concept are not the same thing," she said. "Your sister may have a viable bakery under her own name. I need to know whether she can tell the truth when the cost is real." That was fairer than Brooke deserved and more practical than I felt. I told Naomi I would answer every question in person. Then I opened Grandma June's old cookbook and removed the recipe card from its sleeve. The card was soft at the corners. Flour had settled into the paper years ago and never left. On the back, in my own handwriting, were the dates of the changes I had made to the cake after Grandma died. The card did not prove ownership of every idea in a bakery. It proved something simpler. Brooke had a copy because I had shared it with family. I had the original because Grandma trusted me with the work. I put it in a new clear sleeve and placed it beside the grand opening invitation. For the first time since the sign went up, I felt ready. The morning of the opening was bright and cold. I arrived on Morgan Street 20 minutes before the ribbon cutting. A line had already formed along the window. Yellow balloons framed the entrance. A photographer stood near the curb. Through the glass, I could see trays of pastries, white flowers, and a wall painted with the words "Two sisters, one family dream." My name stretched across the front window. I carried no cake. I wore black pants because they were comfortable, not because Brooke had ordered them. The recipe card was in my purse beside the printed email where I had declined the permanent bakery. Mom met me at the door. Her relief was immediate. "Thank you." "I came to talk. Please do not start before the guests leave. The guests are here because of a story that is not true," she lowered her voice. You made your point online. The sign is still up. Changing it takes time. Brooke had time. Mom looked past me toward the line. This is not the place. It became the place when she put my name above the door. Before Mom could answer, Brooke appeared. She looked polished and exhausted. Her cream-colored suit matched the bakery walls. For a second, I could see the little girl who once distracted me with a flashlight when our power was out. Then she held out a folded white apron. My full name was embroidered across the chest. "You came," she said. "I said I would." She pushed the apron toward me. "We are short in the kitchen. Put this on, help with plating, then come out for the photos." I didn't take it. "I am not working." Her smile stayed in place because customers were watching through the door. "Julia, not now. Especially now." She moved closer. "Naomi is here. She brought the paper. Sign it, and we can finally stop bleeding money." "No." Her eyes flicked toward Mom. Mom whispered, "Please, both of you." Brooke grabbed my elbow and guided me into the bakery before the line could hear us. The room was beautiful. I will give her that. Sunlight crossed the tile. The cases were filled with glossy fruit tarts, muffins, scones, and rows of small lemon cakes. Staff members in yellow aprons moved between the counter and the kitchen. Every detail looked intentional. It would have been easier if the place had been cheap or foolish. It was neither. That did not make it hers to build with my name. Naomi stood near the painted wall holding a dark folder. She wore a navy coat and watched the three of us approach. "Good morning, Julia," she said. "Good morning." Brooke answered before Naomi could continue. "We had a family breakthrough. Julia is ready." I didn't say that. The smile left Brooke's face. Naomi looked at me. "Are you prepared to confirm your role?" "No." The word was quiet. It still changed the room. A staff member carrying a tray slowed near us. Brooke motioned for her to keep moving. "Can we do this in the office?" Brooke asked. Naomi shook her head. "The representations were made to staff and guests. I want the answer clear." Brooke's cheeks turned red. "The answer is clear," I said. "I am not a founder. I am not the head baker. I didn't approve the use of my name." Mom stepped between us slightly. "Julia is upset about how quickly things moved." I looked at her. "No, Mom." "I am certain about what I agreed to." Brooke opened her hands. "You created the concept with me. We ran one short pop-up. My email limited it to that. You attended the investor meeting. I told Naomi in that meeting that I hadn't agreed to a permanent business. You gave me the family recipe. I gave the family a copy of one old card. I didn't give you my business." The photographer near the front pretended to adjust his camera. Guests were entering now, guided by a staff member who did not know whether to begin serving. Brooke lowered her voice. "Do you want all these people to lose their jobs?" There were 6 employees in the room. All of them could hear. I turned toward them. "I never agreed to employ anyone here. I am sorry you were told otherwise." One young man near the coffee machine looked directly at Brooke. She snapped, "Nobody is losing a job." Naomi opened the folder. "The final portion of my investment depends on accurate founder and licensing statements," she said. "Those statements are not accurate." Brooke pointed at me. "They are accurate in every way that matters. She made the recipes. She built the customer base. She is standing here." "Standing in a room is not consent," I said. Brooke laughed sharply. "This is ridiculous. We are sisters. Our grandmother taught both of us. The whole concept belongs to the family." I took the recipe card from my purse. The clear sleeve caught the light. Grandma's faded blue handwriting looked small against the bright new room. Brooke stared at it. "You have a copy," I said. "You can bake from the family recipe. What you can't do is tell people that I built this business with you." She reached for the card. I moved it back. "I am not taking it. You have taken enough." Mom flinched. Brooke's voice rose. "I took an idea you were wasting and made it real." There it was, not a misunderstanding, not optimism, the belief under all of it. I held the card against my chest. My business was real when I baked alone at midnight. It was real when I refunded a ruined order from my own paycheck. It was real before you found a room with pretty windows. Brooke looked around at the guests. And look what I did with it. You did this with a story about me. I did this for us? No, you put yourself in charge and put me in the kitchen. She grabbed the embroidered apron from Mom and held it up. You could walk back there right now and fix this. The words landed harder than she intended. That was what she believed my role was. Fix this. Cover the gap. Save the opening. Protect Mom's money. Make the cakes match the promise. Become useful enough that nobody had to face how the promise was made. I looked at the apron, then at the sign above the case. Brooke pressed on. A name is not something you hoard from your sister. I heard several guests go quiet. I answered her without raising my voice. You did not build a bakery with me. You built a lie with my name on it. For once, Brooke had no immediate reply. Naomi asked me for the documents I had brought. I handed her the printed email. It showed the date, my clear refusal, and Brooke's reply saying she understood, and I also handed over the formal notice and its delivery confirmation. Brooke looked at the pages. You planned this. I prepared to tell the truth. You could have done that privately. I did. You kept the sign. Naomi read the first page, then closed the folder. I will not release the remaining investment, she said. Brooke went pale. Naomi continued. I am also requiring written removal of Julia's name and biography from every public business asset before I discuss a revised arrangement. You can't do that on opening day, Brooke said. I can choose what I fund. The lease is signed. That is your obligation, not hers. Brooke turned to me. Say something. I have. Tell her you will consult, 1 day a week, anything. No, what do you want, 10%, 20%? I want my name removed. I can give you ownership. You can't give me back consent after spending it. Mom covered her mouth. Brooke looked around the room as if someone else might solve it. The staff waited. Naomi waited. I waited. Then Brooke tried the last weapon she had. Grandma would have wanted her work shared. I looked down at the card. Grandma shared food. She never stole credit. That is not fair. No, it is accurate. Brooke's eyes filled, but her anger stayed stronger than her shame. You are choosing strangers over your family. I am choosing the truth in front of the people you asked to pay for a lie. A woman near the entrance set down a gift bag and quietly left. Brooke saw her go. Look what you are doing. I looked at the wall, the menus, the apron, and the sign outside. Then I did the thing I had come to do. I took out my phone and opened the statement Dana had prepared. It was addressed to the bakery, the investor, the staff, the landlord, and the local reporter who had asked for clarification. I read it once, pressed send, and watched the message leave. The statement withdrew any claimed permission to use my full name, photographs, biography, customer history, or business identity. It confirmed that I wouldn't work, consult, endorse, or provide recipes for the bakery. There was no threat. There wasn't anything left to negotiate. Brooke's phone chimed first, then Naomi's, then Mom's. The sound moved through the room in small electronic notes as the staff received the internal copy. Brooke stared at her screen. You sent this to everyone. Yes, you humiliated me. I corrected the story where you told it. Naomi walked to the front counter and spoke to the store manager. Stop gift card sales. Cover the name on the menus. The opening is postponed until customers know what business they are buying from. Brooke stepped in front of her. You are not in charge here. No, Naomi said, but my money is, and it is not moving. The manager looked at Brooke. Brooke looked at me. For years, that look had been enough. It said I was the reasonable one. It said I wouldn't make a scene. It said I would carry the cost because someone had to. I folded the white apron and placed it on the counter. No, I said, I am not fixing this for you. The manager found rolls of plain craft paper in the back. 2 employees began covering my name on the menu boards. Another taped paper over the painted founder story. Outside, the photographer lowered his camera. The ribbon remained tied across the door, bright yellow and uncut. Brooke stood in the center of the bakery she had designed. For the first time, everything around her carried only her decisions. I felt no triumph in that moment. I felt grief, relief, and the clean ache of finally setting down something heavy. Mom followed me toward the door. "Julia, wait." I stopped. She looked back at Brooke, then at me. "Could you at least give her the lemon cake method?" "She has Grandma's card. You know it is not the same." "That is the point." I stepped outside. The line had begun to break apart. Some people checked their phones. Others asked staff when the opening would be rescheduled. Above them, workers on ladders covered my name with brown paper. The wind lifted one corner. For a second, the letters appeared again. Then the tape held. The bakery did not open that day. Brooke removed my name from the window within a week. The painted wall took longer. She covered it with shelves and framed photographs of bread she had paid a photographer to take. Naomi did not restore the original deal. She offered a smaller investment only after Brooke produced a new name, a new menu, and written proof that every person in the marketing had agreed to be there. Brooke accepted because the alternative was closing before she sold a single pastry. 3 months later, she opened as Morgan Street Bakery. The shop had fewer employees and a smaller menu. There was no lemon cake. The first reviews were mixed, then improved. Brooke worked the register, handled complaints, and arrived before sunrise. She finally had the business she wanted, but she had to build its reputation under her own name. Mom did not speak to me for 6 weeks. When she finally called, she didn't apologize. She said Brooke was exhausted and the family had been through enough. I told her I wouldn't discuss the bakery unless she could acknowledge that I had never agreed to it. She said, "I know you said no. It wasn't everything. It was the first honest sentence she had offered." I limited our calls after that. I stopped being the automatic answer to every family problem. When Mom needed help organizing a medical bill, I gave her the number for the billing office instead of taking the papers home. She was offended. She also handled it. Brooke sent me one email after her new opening. "I thought making it bigger made it ours," she wrote. "I understand now that I made it mine and used you to sell it." She didn't ask for forgiveness. I respected that more than another demand. I replied with 2 sentences. I was glad she had corrected the name. Any future use of my work would require written permission. We have not baked together since. My own life changed too. The owner of the coffee shop that hosted our old pop-up offered me a permanent counter for weekend orders. This time, I read every term, set the production limit, and kept control of my name. I called it Julia Reed Bakes, exactly what it had always been. I didn't quit my day job. I didn't need a grand transformation to prove Brooke wrong. I hired one assistant, added a monthly cake pickup, and raised my prices enough to pay us both fairly. On the first Saturday, the lemon cakes sold out before noon. The original recipe card now hangs in a small frame beside my counter. The faded notes face outward. Room temperature. Do not rush. Listen to the batter. People sometimes ask whether Morgan Street Bakery belongs to my sister. I tell them yes. Then they ask whether we are partners. I tell them no. Brooke has her bakery. I have my name. Neither one belongs to the family just because the family wants it. Grandma June taught me to listen for what changes before something breaks. I wish I had listened sooner. But I listened in time. The last time I locked my display case, a little flour had settled on the frame around her card, so I wiped the glass, left the flour at the corners, and turned off the light. Some things are meant to be shared. That does not mean they are free to take. If this story made you think about a boundary someone keeps calling selfish, tell me where you would draw the line. And if you believe a family name still belongs to the person who earned its trust, stay with me for the next story.